To finish up section 7.1, we need to discuss Pythagorean triples. And the purpose of Pythagorean triples are really just shortcuts to be able to get to an answer quicker. Do you need to have Pythagorean triples memorized? No. Do I have Pythagorean triples all memorized? No. This is
an extra copy of that.
that's from Friday. Were you here Friday?
Yeah, I don't have my notebook with me.
So again, if anything, there's one Pythagorean triple that I definitely think you should memorize because it's probably the easiest one. But will you be successful if you don't memorize them? Yes, as long as you've got the Pythagorean theorem down. So what a Pythagorean triple is it consists of three positive integers, a, b, and c, such that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now I'm going to use the term family. So we have common triple families. So pretty much any time you use the Pythagorean theorem and you end up with an integer answer and all three of your sides are integer answers, then it's a Pythagorean triple. Okay, so those ones on your homework where you end up with a square root as your final answer would not be a Pythagorean triple. So, common ones. 3, 4, 5. That one's pretty easy to remember because it's 3, 4, 5. So if anything, try to remember 3, 4, 5. Another family is 5, 12, 13. 8, 15, 17. 7, 24, and 25. And that's not all of them. There's more. Those are just the common ones. And you can make any combination of them. So really quickly, if you check, 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. Is that equal to 5 squared? Yeah, so all of these satisfy a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But I can make any combination of them. I could double a 3, 4, 5 triangle, which would take me to 6, 8, 10. You don't have to write this, just watch. That still is a Pythagorean triple. If I reduce that by 2, it gets me back up to here, right? Or I could triple it, which would be 9, 12, 15. Or I could quadruple it, which would be 12, 16, and 20. So all of those are Pythagorean triples. Same thing occurs there. Okay, so if we look at the next example, you're given two lengths of a triangle, and we want to find the length of the third side. So 24 and 51. Let's make 24 be our A, and let's make 51 be our C. So that means we're solving for an unknown B. So let's do 24 squared plus x squared and equal it to 51 squared. For your quiz tomorrow, you are going to want to have a calculator. You're going to have problems like this, and then you're going to be like, oh man, I don't want to do 51 squared in my head. That's not what I want to do. So 24 squared is 576 plus x squared is equal to 51 squared, which is 2,601. Subtracting 576 from both sides gets me x squared is equal to 2,025. How do I check to see if that's a perfect square? Take the square root of it on your calculator. If it comes up as an integer, meaning there are no decimals, then we're good. What is it? 25? 45. So we get x is equal to 45. If there are decimals after that, then it's not a perfect square. So is it a Pythagorean triple? Yeah, so 24, 45, 51 is a triple. What family does it come from? Can you reduce a number out of 24, 45, and 51? What? Yeah, take out 3. If I divide out 3, So if I'm dividing out 3, it'll get me to 8, 15, and 17. So that would be the original family, which is one of them. Did we write that as our common family up top there in the box? Yeah. Okay. So, did we need to have a triple memorized? No. We can still get there using the Pythagorean theorem. But something ends up being a triple when all 3 of these numbers are integers. We got that? Yes? Okay, so, I don't know. Do we need to put something maybe on our index card? So what constitutes a Pythagorean triple? What would you write there on your index card to make it sense in your brain? When all sides are integers? I don't know, what would you guys write? How do you know when you have a Pythagorean triple? Like this, like if I had 1, 3, 1 squared is 1, 3 squared is 9, that leaves me with a square root of 10. Is that a Pythagorean triple? No, because I have a square root of 10. So what would you write here? All numbers have to be integers? All numbers can't have decimals? I don't know. What would you guys put? If I write integers, will you know what integers are? All numbers are integers. Okay. 3, 4, 5 is one that I definitely would have memorized. That's easy to remember. I wouldn't waste time and write down the rest of them because you can get there just using the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so that concludes 7.1. I connect 7.2 to 7.1 because it's pretty simple and basic. So we're talking about the converse of the Pythagorean theorem, which your converse of the Pythagorean theorem states the following. If your c squared equals a squared plus b squared, then it must be true that your triangle is a right triangle. Right? Originally, our Pythagorean theorem said if it's a right triangle, then a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Well, now we're doing the converse. If c squared equals a squared plus b squared, then we know we must have a right triangle. So, if I give you 3 numbers that are side lengths of a triangle, we can use the converse of the Pythagorean theorem to determine whether it's a right triangle or not. So out of 9, 12, and 15, which one would be the C? 15 because why? Why is it 15?
If you reduce it, it comes from 5.
Yeah, if you reduce it, it'll go to 3, 4, 5, right? You're seeing that? Think about your triangle. Isn't it true that your hypotenuse will always be your longest side? Because it's opposite the largest angle, 90 degrees. So your C will always be your largest. So if I do 15 squared, I want to see, does it equal 9 squared plus 15 squared? Well, 15 squared is 225, and then I would go on my calculator and I would push in 9 squared plus 12 squared, which is 225. So yes, it's a right triangle. Let's notice if I divide by 3, what Pythagorean triple does it take you to? Divide all those numbers by 3. What does it take you to? 3, 4, 5, which is a Pythagorean triple, right? So we could easily have gotten there too. All right, so in B, we're going to change it from a 9, 12, 15 to a 9, 10, 15. So now I'm going to do is 15 squared equal to 9 squared plus 10 squared? Is 225 equal to 81 plus 100? No. So is it a right triangle? No, not a right triangle. So if it's not a right triangle, what else could it be? It could be acute or obtuse, right? So, to determine whether we have an obtuse triangle, if your c squared ends up being larger than a squared plus b squared, then the triangle is going to be obtuse. Think about it. If this is my A and this is my B and the distance between my elbows is the C and it's a right angle, then a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. If c squared is larger than the sum of my a squared plus b squared, then it's an obtuse angle up here. If your c squared is smaller, then what type of angle do we have up here? Acute, right? So it's going to be an acute triangle when your c squared is less than a squared plus b squared. So what's going to be happening is you're going to be given 3 side lengths, and you're going to be asked, is it right, is it acute, or is it obtuse? And you're just going to use this same philosophy. So my c is always going to be the largest, so 14 squared. I need to compare that to 10 squared plus 11 squared. 14 squared is 196. 10 squared is 100. 11 squared is 121. So adding that gets me 221. So is my c squared equal? Definitely not, so it's not right. Is my c squared smaller or larger? Smaller, so it's acute or obtuse? Acute. Good. You see that? Yes, yes. Pretty easy, I think, hopefully. So in B, which number should be your C? 20. So now we're going to do 20 squared, and we're going to compare it to 12 squared plus 16 squared. 20 squared is 400. Then we have 144 plus 256. So is that, ooh, that gets me 400, doesn't it? So what type of triangle do we have? Right. And then if we do the same thing for the last one, making 9, your C. So we're going to do a 9 squared, compare it to 4 squared plus 7 squared. So 81, 16 plus 49 is 65? No, yes, 65, right? Did I do that math right? So 81 is larger, so it's going to be obtuse. Okay?